Yeah, the whole system shut down on their end. So let me see if I get Brian back in here. Uh, Here we go. Sorry, Brian. That was very strange. The whole system just shut down. It even kicked out my entire scheduled thing. I had to reboot the system.
Oh no, I was worried it was me.
Well, maybe it's a quantum computer getting
Yeah,
in.
exactly. The quantum computer doesn't want us talking about it.
Yeah, so here we go. My apologies.
No, you're totally okay. Um, yeah, so to pick back up the quantum machine, like I said, all this stuff that's really interesting is kind of inside of that cylinder. And so I'll go to the next slide, and this is the part that's inside of the cylinder. This is called the chandelier of the quantum computer. And if you look all the way at the bottom of the chandelier, that's where the qubits are. So all the interesting things that we tend to think about when we think about what the quantum computer actually does lives all the way down in that like little tiny part all the way at the bottom. The reason it gets encased the way that it does is because you need to keep the qubits cooled to like just about absolute zero. Otherwise, they don't work. So you're effectively paying for a giant refrigerator. And on the inside, somewhere in that giant refrigerator, you can do some computing, um, which I find to be very, very interesting. There's a number of different kind of ways to do quantum computing. This kind of super cooled qubits is kind of what IBM and a couple others um, produce when they make quantum computers. But there are other people who are thinking about other ways of doing quantum computing. And I should talk a little bit about kind of what I mean by qubits. So if you just on your laptops, desktops, right, your classical machines, we think of a lot of things in bits, right? A bit can be a zero or a one, and they flip off between each other, and right, the different combinations of zeros and ones kind of make up everything that our computers do. Quantum machines use qubits, which is a similar idea, but they operate very, very differently. So if a bit in a classical machine can be zero or one, a qubit on a quantum machine can be zero, one, and everything in between all at the same time, more or less. I am not a physicist. I will be the first one to tell you. I do not know how the physics of the quantum machine work. I know that I can program it to do things and be relatively confident about what the result is. And then I get the results that I more or less expect. So I know that they work. But if you're looking for a high powered physics explanation for all of this, I'll go find one of my friends in the physics department because it's a little outside of my knowledge scope, but we certainly know how to use these devices. But I do like kind of talking about how the difference between bits and qubits, right? If bits on our classical machines are zero or one and they flip back and forth, qubits are zero, one, and everything in between, kind of more or less all at the same time. And this allows a quantum machine to do certain kinds of calculations at speeds that classical machines would never be able to actually match. And that's going to matter for some of the stuff that we talk about with quantum and cybersecurity. So I think quantum is certainly a very exciting way to do computing. If you ever want to make a room full of young, impressionable college students, both undergraduates and graduates, really excited, particularly ones who do computer science, tell them you're going to have them go use a quantum computer, and they'll all get very, very happy. But again, quantum is a whole new paradigm. It's a whole new way of thinking about computing. And there are some tasks that it is absolutely powerful for in ways that classical machines are not. For example, we're using quantum in things like drug discovery, in finance, obviously in cybersecurity. So certain kinds of problems, we really do see quantum shining. All right, but the flip side of what quantum is what quantum is not. Quantum is not a general purpose computer in the sense that we think of our classical machines as general purpose, right? You can take your laptop and basically do whatever you want, right? The funny technical definition is you can compute anything computable. And there's a lot of things in the world that are computable, right? We can play games, we can do our work, right? We can be here and watch each other and talk and have this right, wonderful little day of cybersecurity talks. Right, we can kind of task our classical machines to kind of do whatever it is that we need them to do. That is not the case for quantum, at least certainly not yet. Quantum can't do just any arbitrary thing like we expect our classical machines to do. That doesn't mean they're not useful, they certainly are. It just means we have to be a little more thoughtful about the kinds of problems that we apply and use quantum for. So in the same stretch, right, quantum is not good for every problem. Right, quantum is certainly great for some problems. It is better than classical machines for some problems, but it's not going to be like the magic bullet that's like the solution for every single problem out there. And while quantum is here in the sense that, right, I did show you a real quantum computer that I really have used. So it's here in that sense. It's not really here in the sense that we're going to have quantum computers in our pockets right away. Right. And we can think about the history of, classical computers as well, right? We went from huge mainframes to mini computers to microcomputers, eventually to phones and things like that. So quantum is not at the phones that go on our pocket stage. I like to tell people that right now, quantum's at like the vacuum tube stage of computers. So they're here, they're real, they do things, but they're not exactly going to be sitting on our desks in the near future. All right, so let's talk specifically about why people are concerned about quantum and cybersecurity. For one, we are seeing a ton of investment in quantum technologies and particularly quantum technology companies. So this comes from the World Economic Forum, and you can see, right, 2012, 2013, we kind of, little bits of investment. Then all of a sudden, 2021, we see an explosion in investment. And if you look at it's the dark, like navy blue color on the bars, that's specifically quantum communication and security. Right. So this is like a very noticeable and right, something that people are spending money and willing to invest in doing well. And here is all the countries out in the world and how much they are willing to invest or how much they claim that they are publicly investing in quantum. Right, so this is beginning to show a world of haves and have-nots, right? Those who are going to invest in quantum and those who are not, and it kind of centers around the three kind of main centers that we would expect, right? You have the U.S., you have Europe, and you have China, kind of as the major investment players in quantum. And so it all leads to a really fascinating kind of discovery that we've actually known about for quite a long time. We actually knew about it before quantum computers even existed. But now that they do, we're actually starting to see this happen. If you've heard anything about quantum and cybersecurity, the thing you have heard about most likely is it's going to crack our cryptography. It's going to steal all our secrets. Nothing that we use today is going to be secure in the long run, right? Foreign, nationals and other nation states are going to be able to just collect all the data that we are generating today that we think is secure, and in a couple of years, it won't be secure at all. It won't be any better than just having it in plain text. That is a genuine fear. So here's kind of like a timeline that maps quantum technologies to cybersecurity readiness. And right, we're already in 2026, which is right kind of in the middle of this timeline here. And so what's going on in quantum technology progress? Well, private and public research programs, right? We are seeing universities have and install quantum computers on campus for researchers to use in partnerships with companies and governments. A couple years ago, NIST did release a couple of um, cryptography algorithms, and we'll talk about some of them to prepare you for the post quantum cryptography world. And if you're doing a 5-year plan, right, it's 2026 right now. If you're doing a 5-year plan, that brings you to 2031, right on the cusp of 2032, where, according to this readiness timeline, legacy public key encryption becomes increasingly vulnerable to attack, which means increasingly irrelevant in day to day operations, and PQC becoming a global standard, right? 5 years, 6 years feels like a long time away, but it's not as far away as people think. Right? If you talk to a number of different companies, researchers, and governments, they all have this idea for when Q Day is going to come. And Q Day is the day that quantum computers can pretty much trivially crack modern cryptography. And everyone puts it somewhere in the 2030s, usually in the first half of the 2030s, 2035, maybe by the latest. Google has now pushed their prediction up to 2029, which is really not as far away as people might be thinking. I always like to tell people, if your organization doesn't currently have a PQC plan, kind of at least in progress, you're already behind. And you kind of do need to really think about what that might look like for your organization. Because the big fear here is this idea of harvest now, decrypt later, right? This idea that large companies, large nation states will simply steal your data today, and they can just sit on it and sit on it for a really long time, years and years and years, and simply wait for the quantum hardware to catch up. And at some point, the quantum hardware will catch up to the point where they can just trivially crack all this, and then they'll go into their vault of all the data that they've stolen and go and crack it and then read what those secrets actually are. Which is why kind of moving to a PQC world now is so important, right? It's kind of easy for us to say, oh, I'll just hold off, I'll just wait. But the truth of the matter is adversaries are stealing that data now, and they'll just wait. They have the time, they have the resources, they have the storage capacity to simply wait. Which is why I do kind of push everyone to at least be thinking about what a PQC plan is for their organizations if they're not already kind of in the process of it. Step 4, the one that says decrypt later, says Shor's breaks RSA and ECC. Shor's algorithm is a pretty famous algorithm. It dates back to the mid 1990s, which is the actual quantum algorithm that is used in order to crack cryptography. And I have terrible news. This right here, what you are looking at, is an implementation of Shor's algorithm. I'll give you all 5 seconds or so to guess how many people this took to make and how old those people were. And let's see, 3, 2, 1. This took 3 people to do who knew nothing about quantum 2 months before making this. It was one of my juniors and 2 of my sophomores about 2 years ago. I trivially teach college students, undergraduates, how to implement Shor's algorithm. It is that easy to do. I mean, it fits all on just one slide. So the big scary algorithm that's going to crack all your cryptography is actually pretty easy to teach others how to do. And you can teach most of your computer science students to do it in a couple of months, even if they have absolutely no experience with quantum beforehand. The semi-silver lining here is that this only reliably cracks 6-bit RSA. So you figure modern RSA these days is somewhere in the ballpark of 2048 bits. This particular implementation of Shor's algorithm only reliably cracks 6-bit RSA. 6 is significantly smaller than 2048. But one of the nice things about this particular implementation that my students made was that it's scalable, right? As we get more and more powerful quantum hardware, this simply plugs into the additional qubits and instantly begins cracking more and more sophisticated cryptography. So you figure if you believe some of the timelines that are out there, the progress of quantum machines, it's not quite a one-to-one mapping where one qubit gets you 1 bit of RSA, but it's close enough that we should probably think of it in those terms. Right now, we have quantum machines that you can use between like the 127 to 156 qubit range. And there's a belief that we'll have machines in the 10,000 plus qubit range within the next 10 years. And once we're in the 10,000 plus qubit range, then we're having a pretty serious discussion about what exactly Shor's algorithm can do on actual, right, what we would consider modern cryptography standards and modern cryptography bit sizes. So good news is we're a little distant from that. The bad news is it is definitely here, and you're kind of staring at it right now. All right, so why should you be concerned about quantum, besides the fact that I did just show you an implementation of the algorithm that cracks cryptography? It's because Q-Day is coming eventually, right? Like I said, Google says 2029. Conservative estimates say around 2035. Unlike Y2K, where we all knew that was going to be January 1st, 2000, it was coming whether or not we liked it because the calendar just kept on moving forward. We don't exactly know when Q-Day will be, right? So I think that also kind of pushes the urgency to make sure that if you don't currently have some sort of PQC plan in your organization, now is really the time to start moving on that. Because while I can pretty confidently say Q-Day probably won't happen in 2026, barring some just amazing discovery, I can't necessarily say the same about 2027 or 2028 or 2029. And as the years go on, I become less and less comfortable saying that it won't be this year. So again, right, I really want to kind of push people towards thinking about, moving or at least beginning some PQC plan. Because it also tells us something about like very rapid improvement. So only a few years ago, people were thinking it would take millions, if not billions, of qubits to crack modern everyday usage RSA. And that has dropped to like the 10,000 qubit range. Right, that is a gigantic drop as people continue to work on quantum hardware, quantum algorithms, quantum software, all of those things. We're seeing those kind of refinement of exactly how many qubits do you need, and it keeps on getting smaller at a very, very rapid pace. I also point out to my students, it also might tell us that we in cybersecurity need a little bit more imagination when it comes to quantum, because for most of us, this is kind of the beginning and end of quantum when it comes to cybersecurity. It's this incredible new technology. It's going to steal all our secrets. We got to move to PQC and quantum key distribution, which is kind of its sibling technology that helps prevent quantum from stealing our secrets. And then that's it. But I think there's more to the story to quantum and cybersecurity than just that. Here's kind of a roadmap that MITRE came up with, I think it was last year, to develop a roadmap for PQC. It does look like a lot of work. A lot of us in security are used to kind of those multi-stage pipelines that like wrap around back to the beginning for our roadmap. So it does look a lot like kind of other sorts of roadmaps you might see when it comes to cybersecurity. But it's a lot. You got to prepare for it. You have to actually understand what PQC is. You have to inventory all of your assets to figure out what actually needs PQC. You need to budget for it, and you need to plan it out. You need to execute it. You need to monitor and evaluate it. You may find new things now once you've done that initial run through of new things that need to be protected with PQC. So I'm not taking away that a PQC plan and a roadmap can be a lot of work. Um, I just at the same time don't think we really have the time to sit back and wait. Because if you wait until quantum machines are able to, right, steal all your secrets, then it's really too late. All right, but I'm done scaring everybody. So let's talk a little bit about why you should not be concerned necessarily with quantum. And that's because we already have all the tools that you need to be successful in moving to a post quantum world. So back in 2022, NIST did release a set of 4 algorithms that are the post quantum cryptography algorithms. We are beginning to see these being used in real production systems. For example, I believe like OpenSSH, for example, already implements these algorithms. So if you want to begin actually doing a little bit of work of trying out post quantum cryptography, do a little bit of work kind of experimenting with it, that stuff's already there. You can do it now. And that right wasn't true just 3 years ago. So the good news is you're not going to go this alone. This is already out there. There is already software out there that implements these algorithms. We are beginning to develop best practices for actually how to implement them and how to incorporate them in a PQC plan. So definitely don't start from zero, right? Kind of take the best practices that people are already coming up with and apply them to your organizations. And same thing with quantum key distribution, right? So this would be a way of distributing keys to people in a way that if there is tampering, you actually can just notice that, right? So if someone tries to eavesdrop or steal keys or anything like that, you just kind of see that fact that it's been tampered with, and then you just know that, right, we shouldn't use these keys. We should just go ahead and make new keys and distribute those new keys until we're confident that there's been no tampering. So again, these tools already exist, right? You can just go and use them right now, just off the shelf, right? You do not have to invent anything from scratch. You don't have to hire a quantum physicist in your organization, right? Go use all the good stuff that's out there and work with the emerging best practices that are coming. So I like to think about this all as a starting point. It's not an ending, right? There will be challenges along the way with PQC. Scalability is the big one, especially with quantum key distribution. None of the previous things, so PQC and QKD, do not need a quantum computer for any of this. But some of the things I'm going to talk about going forward now, you'll probably need access to a quantum computer for these things. Because what I really want to talk about and what I'm really excited about is how quantum will help you. Quantum is not just a scary technology. In fact, I tell people all the time that I'm actually kind of bored with the cracking cryptography part of quantum because it's so trivial and so easy to teach even sophomores in college how to do it, that it really opened us up to begin to think about, well, if quantum can be helpful for attackers and adversaries, can quantum be helpful for defenders, for people who need to protect organizations? And we believe that it can. So IBM talks about this idea of quantum advantage, and they kind of break it into 3 kind of different criteria. And they say if you meet at least one of the 3 criteria, then you've hit quantum advantage. That would be quantum does things either faster, or more accurately, or more energy efficient than classical machines, right? We can imagine a world where a supercomputer does a task and uses just an immense amount of electricity, and quantum does the exact same task at the exact same speed and the exact same accuracy, but does it for 100 times less electricity. You still probably want the quantum computer in that case because electricity is not free. Right? That's costing you something. So we began to turn our attention to what kinds of pipelines are blue teamers, are defenders using? Can we identify pieces of those pipelines that might lend themselves really well to quantum? And then let's go experiment with what happens if we design a piece of that puzzle that uses quantum and plug it back into the larger pipeline. So, for example, a friend of mine and I last summer, we came up with a way of using a quantum machine to help improve malicious network traffic detection. So this is just a chart of 4 different attacks. We actually have a larger corpus of attacks, but we're finding that for some, not all, but for some kinds of attacks, the quantum computer is outperforming classical machines. And that's a pretty important step in the right direction, right? You figure classical machines have what? A 70, 80-year head start on quantum machines. And already we're seeing in some instances quantum computers outperforming their classical counterparts. The kind of big issue here when it comes to why isn't quantum more successful, if this is a problem that it's particularly good at, comes down to what we call noise. So what happens is the qubits that sit inside the quantum computer are really, really susceptible to all kinds of environmental factors. And even tiny changes in the environment totally kind of ruins the computation that you're doing. In fact, the picture that I showed of the quantum computer at the very beginning of this talk, the floor upon which it is standing was entirely re-engineered to reduce the amount of vibrations that go into the quantum computer, because those vibrations cause noise. That noise causes the quantum computer to not do what you think it's doing. Then you kind of have to throw out the computation and do it all over again. So that noise problem is kind of like the big problem that everyone's really kind of working on in the quantum world, alongside things like error correction, so that if we notice there's noise, we can fix it. But better, can we make quantum computers that are not susceptible to noise, right? And we kind of see this like in our phones and our laptops, right? You can walk around with your phone and your laptop, and the computations still just work, right? You can kind of shake your phone and your laptops pretty violently, and they'll still continue to operate just fine. The same cannot currently be said of quantum computers. Although, like I said, there's a whole lot of work going on to improve that. So we've kind of shown the case, at least some of the time, with quantum being successful for network intrusion detection. We're also working on phishing. So these are 2 charts from some upcoming research that we hope to publish soon that shows that in some limited cases, quantum may be a better way of detecting phishing emails, particularly phishing emails that you've never seen before. I have another team working, I'll actually see them tomorrow, who's working on similar improved detection pipelines for malware detection using quantum computers. This is what we would call like hybrid, right? This is a mix of using quantum where it makes the most sense and classical where classical makes the most sense. And for now, these hybrid pipelines are really going to be like the main way that we interact with quantum machines, and kind of using the positives of both classical and quantum machines to solve greater and greater problems. So I think we're in store for really a bright future with quantum. Yes, it came to us as a technology that was scary, but I think we should leave thinking that this is a technology that we should be excited about. So when we started the talk thinking about what is our relationship to quantum as cyber professionals, that excitement is where I would like you to all to end up. It's something where I have ended up. And if I've helped pull you from the scared to the excited even just a little bit, I think I've done my job. Here is something that I'm really excited about. We were actually at Ken's conference a couple of days ago with 2 of my other students, and we talked about this. We're developing teaching tools for kids and adults to teach you the basics of how quantum works in relation to cybersecurity. So if you're really familiar with Scratch, like the programming language for kids, we literally are just building Scratch blocks that are connected to a quantum computer. And this here's a little demo of how quantum cracks cryptography more efficiently and quicker than a classical machine. We don't quite do it at scale in the real world, right? At scale in the real world will be something like classical machines. Literally, there's not enough time in the universe to crack modern RSA. Quantum machines, best estimate, about 6 months when we have the hardware to do so. That's a pretty big difference between 6 months and literally not enough time in the universe to do so. But we use smaller examples to kind of point out the increased speed and ability for quantum machines to crack cryptography. Hopefully, we're going to roll this out to some local schools within the next school year, so by September, October. And we're kind of really excited to find a way to get cyber practitioners up to speed with what quantum means for them, what the reality is when it comes to protecting ourselves and our organizations, but also, okay, let's go do the fun stuff that actually lets quantum help us do better at our jobs and protect ourselves and actually use it for something positive. So the main takeaways that I think we should all leave here with for today, for one, quantum absolutely matters for cyber practitioners, right? If nothing else, you still got to do the PQC stuff. I'd like you to do the other stuff because it's fun, but you got to do the PQC stuff, which means that yes, people are right to worry about it. But the good news is we do have the tools to deal with it. They're available today. You can just go use them. It'll take some real effort to get to that post-quantum world, particularly if you haven't started yet. But I think that just means that today is the best day to get started if you haven't already. I certainly want everyone to leave today thinking that quantum is not all negative. It's going to be a positive and exciting and transformative technology for cybersecurity in all of the good ways, right? Not in the bad ways. We should be on the lookout for ways to make and use quantum easier for ourselves, right? Like I said, my research centered quantum easier, or to use it more easily for all of us. Because at the end of the day, why should all of our adversaries have all the fun? This is a really cool technology. I absolutely love using it. And we should have fun too every once in a while. It shouldn't just be our adversaries. All right, with that, thank you for listening to me ramble on. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I put up my QR code. I'm happy to chat quantum and security with you all until you are sick of hearing me talk about quantum and cybersecurity.
So we do have a question. Stan asks, what industries do you foresee using quantum computing first, and are they already using it?
Yeah, so we are seeing it being used in things like drug discovery and finance, and right, cybersecurity too, at least on the cracking crypto side. But like, expect in the next 5-10 years, people say, right, the latest drug that came out was developed in tandem with a quantum computer. I think that's all but here at this point. And finance is using it as well for like predictive modeling and things like that.
So I do have another question. How much, Stan continues, how much does it currently cost to use quantum?
So are you talking about to buy a quantum computer or to just use one? To buy
both.
one will cost you tens of millions of dollars. So if you have tens of millions of dollars lying around, let me know, and I will install the Stan quantum computer. Well, I guess for you at Keene, we'll have to find a nice spot in between Keene and Monmouth to install the quantum computer. For just like an everyday person, if you were going to go to like IBM, for example, and say, I want time on the quantum cloud. Last time I looked, they charged $72 a minute for quantum time. So extrapolate that out for an hour. Now it's similar to like CPU time on the cloud, where it's not just like, here's a minute, go. It's right, they're going to charge you for actual use. And you'll find that a lot of jobs on the quantum machine take less than a second to do. With that said, the malicious network traffic work that I pointed out earlier, I think we did the math on how much it would have costed us if we didn't have a quantum computer like to just use of our own for free. I think we calculated it would have cost something like $85,000 worth of quantum time, um, just for that one publication. So it does get expensive really quickly, but right, like any other technology, we would expect the price to continually go down.
Yeah, scale. So I have to. So based on, I guess, the cost and the I guess the limit to access, because we've been talking a lot about bad actors today,
Hmm.
right? And we've been talking how, you know the cost of what every dollar being spent to provide security. These guys are earning like $49 for every dollar spent just being bad actors. But it doesn't sound to me like it's going to be that easy for them to access quantum to become bad actors with quantum now. Or am I looking down? Am I being too hopeful?
Well, I would say that if you are an APT backed by one of those countries that's pouring billions of dollars into quantum, you already have a quantum computer and you're already using it, right? I would just assume that for any country from that chart I showed that's investing at least a billion or two into quantum, their APTs have access probably to a whole fleet of quantum computers,
Okay.
uh, not just one, which is
So
what
this,
makes the harvest now decrypt later kind of so much more on the nose. Is at this point you should assume your nation state backed adversaries already have fleets of these.
wow, wow, that's a lot. So my next question before I let you go is, we see the advent of AI and businesses learning how to maximize their efficiency, their time, et cetera, and increase their margins. What are we talking about? What would you say the timeline before small businesses have access to this kind of power at a reasonable cost is? Are we talking 5 years, 2 years, 25 years?
Probably looking more like 20 years if I had to
Mhm.
guess, right? Because Q Day will come not when the average small business or average person can trivially crack cryptography, but when the nation states can trivially crack cryptography, right? That's kind of at least for me, the marker of Q Day. Um, and at that point, quantum will still probably be kind of expensive for the average person.
Okay. And we don't have to worry about anything like Skynet and the Terminator or anything like that happening right now, do
If
we?
you do, it's not from quantum; it's from generative AI.
Okay, there you go.
Now, while there is a lot of work being done to put quantum and AI together, which is a different talk, quantum itself, no, is not going to be Skynet.
Okay. Well, Professor Callahan from Monmouth University over here in beautiful Monmouth County, thank you so much for being part of this today. This was really interesting, and I think it was kind of mind blowing. I mean, to talk about what you can do in like a split second that would have taken, forever to do is amazing. And look forward to, hopefully, I'm alive to see where we're going.
Yeah, great. No,
So,
thank you, and thank you so much for having me and listening.
yep. And we'll definitely have you on when we coordinate our cybersecurity jam session. So,
Yep, absolutely. Sounds
look
good.
forward to seeing you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
So you heard it first, folks. We don't have to worry about Skynet, AI, or Sky quantum computing creating Skynet. We got to be more focused on generative AI, and hopefully the two don't get married too soon. Um, my next guest is a huge supporter of what we do. We met her at Procurement Con. She is an expert in the field of cybersecurity, a government contractor. And I'm pretty sure, maybe I'm getting it wrong. She's going to correct me, but I think she teaches the government how to be secure. How about you clarify that, Betty? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Now we hear you.
Oh, thank you so much, Eric, for such a kind introduction. But yes, I'm part of the team to support the government with software lifecycle support and cybersecurity accreditations for their systems, Department of Defense systems.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the floor over to you, and you're going to teach us what they know.
Absolutely. Let's have some fun with certifications. Let me share my screen. Let me see if you can see it. Can you see it?
You're broadcasting, Betty.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Again, my name is Betty Grullon, and I am the founder and president of Proxy LLC. I have 20 years of experience government contracting, specifically with the Department of Defense. And I would like to talk to you today about the importance of compliance, but without friction. I want us to discuss a little bit more into the navigating into the different types of certifications that we all keep hearing about, and also how past performance is the key for us to get business growth within the organizations. So, as a small business, there's a reality check that we need to have. When we come into government contracting, we find ourselves with no CMMC certification, no ISO certification, and no CMMI certification. And specifically, something as simple as past performance, we don't have it. And that's one of the main things that we keep hearing about. Oh, well, you need to have past performance to be able to join, be able to support the government. And not having just a technical team is enough. And today we're going to talk about the importance of these certifications, what they are, why are they required, how much do they cost, and the importance of past performance, and how can we create a strategic plan in order for us to kind of start without needing these certifications at the beginning of your roadmap. So when it comes to the government doesn't really buy certifications. The government focuses more on the outcome. What can you, as a provider, as a vendor, can bring to the table? How can you reduce the risks? And most of the questions, for example, that contract officers ask themselves when they look at a company capability statement, or even in a response to your RFPs and RFIs, is that, can you really perform the requirements that they expect us to comply with? Can you protect the information that they giving you to work with? Or can you manage the risk, or deliver on time? Those are the main questions. And can you really support the mission that they expect us to have? Because different organizations have different goals when it comes to missions. Navy, Army, Marines, they all have different strategies on how they want to do business, and how, because it's different environment, we need to be ready for it. So when it comes to understanding, we need to look into first the government needs, like what are the requirements, what are they looking for, what is their mission of the organization that you're looking forward to support. Then look into the capabilities that they expect you to have, or their need, and can you support those capabilities. Number three will be, can you really help them reducing risk when it comes to the mission? Can you develop systems? Can you develop the product in an efficient way that is not going to be that it will help them reduce the risk that they actually need to maintain, abate. And then to focus then once at the performance. Whether you don't have past performance, you can kind of talk a little bit into your private sector experiences, and they can kind of like understand whether you have experience or not. If not, you need to kind of start working into your identifying your performance, and everything that you can do in order to show that you can get the work done. And the last but not least, once you start building that past performance, when you start working with them or with primes, then you need to focus, okay, I would like to get this certification because it's what really applies to me. And the things that you always need to keep in mind is that, yes, certifications are important, but the performance of your team and how you sell yourself to the government, it's very important in order for you to win your first contract. So let's discuss CMNC. CMNC is the one thing that we keep hearing about. And what is it, right? So we understand that we have information that the government wants to protect. And the one that CMNC protects is the control on classified information. And why do we need it? Because it's basically information that it gets into the wrong hands. It could cause damage to the government or to the mission. And many opportunities today, they do not require CMMC, but based on what I see, they are doing modification to contracts now, and they adding the requirement for the prime to have CMMC certification at hand in order for them to continue to get task orders within that contract. And that's why we need to be start looking into how does this really work. So what are the different levels of CMMC? So we have level one, which is general controls, and this is actually following the FAR 52 20421, and it's all about basics, safeguarding, and cover basically the control information that you have in your system for yourself, and also the information that you receive from the government. And the reason why this is important is because, for example, I have two environments. I have a government machine because I do direct support to the government, and that one I don't have to worry about because it's already been certified, even at a higher level. But then I have my business machine, right, that I sign contracts, I sign the DD 254 for the clearances. So all this information back and forth that you deal with either other organizations or even the government, it is important for your business machine to be certified at the Siemens level. And this is what the government is actually starting going after. When it comes to a lot of the contracts that they do in the modification, they expect us to have the CMMC level 2, which is the NIS 800-171 document. And this one is more, it adds basically more processes and more controls that you need to be aware, more like a straightened set of security controls and stakes and things that you need to have ready. You need to have your security policy ready. So it's a lot of different steps that you need to follow in order for you to be able to comply with this kind of certification. And the thing about for the level one, you can do a self-assessment, but for the level two and three, you need to have a third party actually coming in and evaluating your systems and your policies and procedures in order for you to be able to get certified and provide that information now in the PIE system, which is where you need to upload your results. For level three, this is more advanced and it has a higher focus areas. So it includes level one and level two, but then also it has additional controls in order for you to be focused on more in the NIST SP 800-172 document. Um, Once you start looking into what CMMC is, when you start understanding which level do you need, then you can start putting together a roadmap. So when it comes to the roadmap, is how you're going to identify how much you're going to be spending on your certification. The first thing that you will go through is your gap assessment, and here you're going to be able to identify basically what are the areas that you need to look into. What are those process assurance areas, the security controls that you need to manage, and just for the assessment alone, it could cost $3,000 to $15,000. Now, on the level one readiness, this is more focusing on the hygiene. You really have the systems in place that you need in order to validate those procedures and that you need to be validated for the security controls that you need to comply with. And this is, for example, do you have multiple factor authentication? Do you have antivirus? Do you have firewalls installed? Have you created any policies and procedures that connect to the security controls that you are meant to be complying with? And of course, training, right? Training is very important because once you start learning, in order for you to have the staff following the guidelines, they need to understand what are they protecting and how they're going to protect it. So the training is a very key way for you to speed up the development of your policies, and that one will be around 0 to 5K. Then the level two preparation, then that's when you go deeper into developing more of the policies. You start working on your security plan a little bit deeper. You identify the 100 controls performance. Are you there? Do you need modifications? Do you need to develop what they call a poem, which is basically what's going to allow you to say, okay, these are the risks that we have, these are the risks that we're taking, right? And that is going to take the bulk of the work and the bulk of the money when it comes to developing all of these areas and making sure that the systems are tied down. And that's between 10,000 to 75,000. Once you have everything ready, that's when the third party comes in, which is the CSPAO assessment. They come in, they evaluate what you have, and they tell you, yes, you're compliant, or you need to work on these things. once once you get your certification, then you're able to put it, provide the certificates to your PIEE system as if you're a prime, or show a copy to your prime vendors, and you can start kind of like then follow the final step, which is the fifth, which is the annual maintenance. One thing that is common among all the certifications that we're talking about today is that they are getting done every 3 years, but it's not like you just get the audit approved and then you just forget it and then you do it again 3 years. This is a continuous monitoring, improvement, and evaluation of your processes. So you still need to invest money on an annual basis in order for you to maintain the certifications. And the goal is, for you to always be compliant. So make sure that you're always working with partners, that you are building that revenue to maintain these certifications, and this is going to make you look very strong when it comes to going after specific strategic contracts, and then it was going to allow you to continue to invest in your compliance. So how do we reduce this, the CMMC compliance cost? The best thing for you, it will be to contact your Apex accelerator in your area, because they have a partnership with Project Spectrum, and Project Spectrum basically they do have like a self-assessment. They have a portal you can register, and this is free services. If you go through the Apex Accelerator, and they help you go through they have meetings with you one-on-one to go over basically all your policies and all the security controls that you need to obey with, and then they'll tell you whether your systems are ready or not before you actually go into a third party accreditation process. And the thing is that having a strategic partnerships is what really going to allow you uh, to get a low cost and getting the certifications in a timely manner, and in a cost effective way. I'm sure there's other organizations, but this is the one that I use, so that's why I'm recommending it. Um, for the ISO, so ISO, we have heard of the ISO. There's so many of them, but they are usually the usual suspects, right? So we have, for example, in ISO, what is ISO? It's we need to recognize this just globally recognized standards, right? That an organization can prove that they have quality, that is, they have security, that they are efficient, and that they continuously monitoring and expanding and innovating into ways of doing better products. Now, the main ones that we heard here of are the ISO 9001, right? The quality management, or the ISO 27001, the ISO 20000, or the 45001, and the 14001. One of the things that we need to keep in mind is that you don't always need all these certifications at once. You need to evaluate your business and figure out which are the ones that you truly need, because you don't need all of them. As a service IT company, for example, I will need the first three, because those are the ones that apply to me. And to give you a little bit of clarification of what they really are, the top three are, for example, the ISO 9001. This one focuses more into the quality management of repeatable business processes, and it kind of helps you. It helps the organization document how do they perform the work, how do they manage quality, how do they address issues and reduce risks, right, and continuous improvement. Now, on the other hand, the 27001, the information security, it's more for us to recognize like the information security standard globally, and it focuses more into protecting the company and the customer information through risk management, security controls, policies, and continuous monitoring, which sounds very familiar to the CMMC security controls and how we actually try to protect the information system. Now, for the ISO 20000, This one focuses more into the organization. How do they deliver and manage the IT services? And this helps you kind of like allow them to serve, to figure out how they can serve and deliver consistently, and figure out the incidents in a timely manner and how they get handled by your organization. And also, uh, it allows you to show them that you can actually comply with the customer expectations. And why buyers like these all these standards, right? So it's because they demonstrate repeatable processes. It allows us to reduce the performance risk, which is key in government contracting. It also shows organizational maturity because it shows that you know what you're doing, and that you have a plan in place, whether it is for your own systems or it is for the customer systems. And it also supports the consistent service delivery, because you give them this high reassurance that you are actually going to be completing your task on time. So when it comes to the ISO certification codes, there's two there is a range, right? So for the consulting, also identify basically have assessment, right? The assessment, talking to the consultant, figure out which are the policies and procedures that we need to put together, putting those documentations together, and getting ready for an audit that costs around $25,000. Now, for the third party certification, and you showing all your artifacts and then evaluating it and getting your certification, that's around $17,000. And then when it comes to the annual maintenance, again, you need to do the recertification every 3 years, but you need to maintain on an annual basis, and there's additional costs that you need to continue to pay in order to maintain the certification on an annual basis. This one, it's around 10K, $8,000 to 10K, depending on what are the things that you need to do and the size of your organizations, of course. For the CMMI, on the other hand, this one, it's a lot of, it basically has multiple levels, even more than the CMMC. So when it comes to CMMI, it basically focuses on measuring the maturity of how you implement basically like systems. And it's basically, it's like a little report card that you receive to consistently, that allows the vendor to know that you can manage projects correctly, and that you have a good control quality, that you definitely are reducing risks because you have a proven system of how you are handling this every project that you get handled. And then it also ensures that you have written proof that you actually deliver results. And usually the DoD uses the CMMI mostly for software development projects and system engineering, also program management. I have supported actually the Army for 20 years, and they are CMMI level 5. And definitely, it is a lot of documentation, it is a lot of processes, things such as lessons learned, innovation, following the process areas, making sure that we tracking defects. It's just a lot of things that we need to manage when it comes to CMMI, to ensure that we are building history, and then we can use that history to predict the new product or modification to existing products. And the truth is that most small businesses should not really pursue CMMI too quickly, just because it is a very expensive certification that you will have to get. But there are ways to also start kind of like working with them. Like for me, the route that I took is as a subcontractor, and I used to actually work for Prime too. I received training on CMMI, and that allowed me a lot to understand what really CMMI is focusing on and how can we use this to improve systems. So let's go, I guess, a little bit into the what are each maturity level, right? So for the initial level 1, it's just basically them analyzing your processes. What are you currently doing at Hug? And you need to identify the like the chaos, the chaotic items that you need to start kind of like shifting and addressing in order for you to modify the processes and get to the next level, right? And the success is more on an individual level. It's just identifying what are you doing right now. How do you perform right now? Now, the level two, on the other hand, that's when you start really getting into understanding what are the process areas. What are your managing process? How can you start gathering documentation? How can you start shifting things around your organization and developing the policies and the procedures that you need in order the standard ones in order for you to show that you are in your road and on the way for you to get this organized and start gathering the data that you need by the time that you are level four. Now, for the level three CMMI certification, this goes a little bit deeper into basically you creating a repository and you creating your policies and procedures and you having the different areas down pack. You already kind of like working with standardization, not only at the project level, but you actually go into the organization as a whole. So now everybody within the organization is involved in this, and the policies are no longer applying just as an individual or as a team. It goes more into the all the way to the top. And once usually companies get CMMI level three, and that's I think the maximum requirement that I've seen on contracts so far. That they are required from a contractor. I have experience with CMMI level five because I was directly supporting a government CMMI level five organization. Then now, when it comes to the quantitative management, when it comes to the level four, this now you're talking about you have built lessons learned. You are focusing on understanding the data that you have gathered, all the measurements, all the risks, all the systems, forms that you have put in places. Now this is getting data. And now you get into the phase that you are analyzing that data and you understanding, oh, if we use these lessons learned, then the next project that is equal to project A, now we're going to be able to not have those hurdles that we went through the last time, and this is how we're going to be able to do it, right? So you're going to be, you're going to have project plans, you're going to have measurement plan, this risk plan, they have a staffing plan. It's like so many items that you get to build and policies that is going to help you speed up the project, and you're going to start to seeing what works and what doesn't work in these projects. So at this phase, you basically already like at the top, and you are gathering data. Now at the level five, optimizing. This is where here you have data, you know how it works. You start implementing that through specific projects, and it goes throughout the entire organization. Then you need to pick a couple of projects that are going to be your key that you use for every audit, and those are heavily monitor on everything that they do. And then because you need to provide samples in every audit, you need to show data that you did this thing for 3 years and that these are the things that you improve. So you need to kind of have like a story when you get audited, and it shows with the measurement, with the documentation that you provide to the auditors. And this is again third-party auditors. They are the ones who can actually give you the green light. And the thing is about CMMI is that it's all about always process improvement and innovation. So this is actually going to help your company improve and have predictable performance. It's going to allow you to have low risk, better quality products, and also greater customer satisfaction. One of the main things that the government really have in mind is that they love to finish the projects on time, and they definitely have to be low risk when it comes to building these systems. When it comes to the cost for small businesses estimated, it is when it comes to the consulting, as I mentioned before, it's all about getting the gap assessment and doing the process improvement, and then gathering all the documentation and evidence that you need to prepare that report. and start working ready toward your appraisal. That is between 20K to 100K. The appraisal team that comes to validate, uh, we have to go through multiple Scampi. You can go Scampi A, Scampi B, Scampi C, which is the final, and then that's why it costs between 15,000 to 50,000, because you're going over everything that you created in your consulting stage. Now it's going to be reviewed throughout the Scampi to make sure that everything is correct before they can give you your certification. Now, when it comes to the maintenance, similar to the other two, you need to maintain this annually. You need to continue doing sustainment. You need to have a training plan for all of them in order for you to make sure that everybody's always on track and they understand what they're supporting and how they can implement it on a day-to-day basis. Also, you need to conduct internal audits, so you need to have a dedicated team, a process assurance advocate that will always follow up with the groups and the projects in order for us to make sure that we are audit ready, and also always looking for opportunities to have process improvement in order for us to gather like those points that we need to get the certification, and we have no mishaps. So now CMMI is a significant investment, and it can lead to more predictable performance, but it also allows you to have a higher win rate because CMMI, the way the CMMI works, once you get into it, you're going to understand why it's required and how efficient it can be. And it also allows you to get access like larger contract vehicles and contracts. As you guys know, most of these large contracts coming out, they are requiring the vendor to have CMMI certification, and this is why, because it's important. Then also you be able to do more complex contracts at the same time. So avoid the certification trap. I know we all want to be able to just get the certification and invest money in order for us to be competitive, but there are other ways for you to be competitive. It is not wise to spend $100,000 on a certification before you have winning contracts and past performance, because at the end of the day, you are investing cash that is not coming in, and you don't have a pipeline, you don't have a network, you don't have a customer, and this is where it's not going to lead you to any growth. The better strategy that I would recommend will be start looking to get your revenue first, and then you have that maturity to start growing your business and investing profits into getting all the certifications and based on your needs and what your contracts are requiring. So the small business ladder, it's something that I wanted it to put more into a graphical way to kind of show you an illustration of how you should probably look into getting into all these certifications, and in order for you to eventually become a prime contractor. And you need to start with a capability statement. Go to your Apex Accelerator, go to your NJSBDC. There's a lot of organizations that help us build capability statement for free, business plans, and a lot of things that can help us. They teach us how to do procurement, how to write RFPs. Take advantage of them because it is very important. So once you have your capability statement, look for subcontracting opportunities. Start building your past performance as a subcontractor, because it's going to make it very easy for you to get a prime once you start building your. That's what I did. Then once you have past performance and you have the revenue that allows you to get one or two of these all of these certifications, do a strategic plan of which one you want to get first that will best benefit you and that is within your budget, and that's going to allow you to do prime contracts. You can also do some contracts and become a prime without the certifications, but I noticed that it might be becoming a little bit harder, but it's still possible. So how do you win without the certifications? There are three things that you can do. You can join a prime team, and they already have the certification, and they will be able. Then you just need to bring something that they need. For example, if you're a small business, they're a large business, they are required for as a large business to give 33% in a contract to small business. So you're still bringing value and you're bringing a great team. So look for those prime companies that have what you don't have, and then bring them what they need in order for you to build those relationships. Also, be strategic about pursuing certain contracts. They are contracts that don't require their certifications. Or, for example, if you've never done government contracting, you can start maybe at your local state and commercial contracts first in order for you to get experience. Or if you establish a relationship with a prime DoD contractor, that will be the easiest way to go in also as a subcontractor at the DoD level. Then build a compliance ecosystem. Don't wait till you have to get the accreditation. Learn from your current partners. Figure out what everybody is doing. How can you make your system better? Multiple factor authentication, having a firewall, all these things, and even starting to build policies. You can do this and on your own, or you can join certain programs. I did one called Blue Wave, and they helped me build all my policies and procedures for the company for 9 different areas. So the resources are there, and all these programs are free. Just but you need to invest the time, or you need to hire the team that is going to be able to do that on the side while you continue doing your business development and looking for contracts. The partnership and past performance. I think this is the key in order for you to not need a certification expenses right now. Make sure that you know what you bring into the table. What is your specialized area, right? And what are your skill labor? What are you bringing to the team? Do you have a product, whether it's patent or it's maybe just an idea and you want to do a joint venture? Figure out the things that bring value to your company in order for you to build those relationships, and also always remind large prime that have a lower overhead. So it is great to partner with small businesses because that is also about the revenue, right? They get more revenue. And then remember what they also bring to you, right? Which is the past performance, the certifications, the large contract vehicles that otherwise we will not have access to, and start building those relationships with them. In order for you to build your past performance, there are different areas, right? So you can do subcontract, you can do small task orders. You can, if you have an idea or a product, you can go through the SBR, and STRR projects. The Navy has it. I think that every branch has. I know Navy and Army have them, and I'm definitely looking into that myself. And then we have the commercial and state contracts. I'm getting into state contracts at the moment too, in order for me to expand my portfolio and figuring out where I can bring my support so I can actually expand my past performance. Also, not only DoD, but I want to also do local and state government. So these are the things that we need to start looking into. What is the lowest hanging fruit in order for me to go to the next level and get those contracts that I need? And I will recommend for you to have a 3-year revenue compliance roadmap where the foundation is all about building your capabilities, presenting yourself, building the partnership, attend events that are important to build those partnerships, and the summits that they offer. Then also build your past performance by the subcontracting opportunities. And if you have someone, if it's not you, that can help you also start strengthening the cybersecurity and the policy posture, you can start also in year 1. But if not, try implementing those things in year 2, and start building your policies and understanding what does your customer need, and then you need to make sure that you're mapping those to whatever it is. And then also look into the certifications. What are the requirements? So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. They have like free security plan templates available everywhere. Go to the Apex Accelerator, as I mentioned, and start building your history and understanding how you're going to build your company so it will be compliant and you spend the right time and not too much on it. So, and then the 3rd year, you can start elevating, right? And then you can start differentiating yourself and you start pursuing those certifications if you have the funds and the team to do so. So for the action plan, I would say win contracts first, secure initial subcontracts or even contracts directly with the local and state government, generate that revenue. And this is just automatically builds your past performance. And then you start documenting that and making sure that you get, if it's possible, the DoD doesn't do it, but I think local and state can, letter reference or maybe a paragraph saying what do they think about the work that you did with them. Sometimes the DoD does give some certificates when we help them with reach big milestones. I actually got one of those because we supported them with the CMMI level 3 back in the day. The first got it, we got some certificates from the customer. Then you can generate your revenue. Make sure that you have basically expandable billable projects, and then you have a good cash flow in order before you decide that you want to go for the certifications. Because remember, it's an ongoing expense; it's not a one-time thing. And then make sure that you scale your compliance strategically. Layer the governance and the cybersecurity exposure in order for you to understand whether that's the lane that you're meant to go with, or is there any other way that you can get more contracts without investing hefty amount of money getting certain things ahead of time. So that's the most important thing that I would recommend. For the action plan, I would say for the next 30 days, do an assess your gaps, identify the target agencies that you're looking for, and also identify the primes or the partners that you would like to start working with, and then start building teaming relationships with them. Go after opportunities together. Have a couple of partners that at the different levels now, and we are going after things together, and it feels more comfortable, right? Because what I don't have, they might have, and it makes it easier. And it makes the response also very strong when you come with a team. You can also start working, maybe improving your cybersecurity. Look at your machines, look what you have, simple things that you can solve right now in order to just be ahead of the game. Go ahead, get it done, and then also, continue to pursue subcontracting opportunities if you're not a prime. Then for future compliance, I will say AI is something that is here. We are looking into it. So start identifying your AI governance. What is the government expecting the contractor to have? How we protecting data using AI also, right? There's a big talk about supply chain security and the zero trust and continuous monitoring coming. There is modifications to the NIST documents. There's about a lot of different things moving towards more into the continuous monitoring, but that's another class. And we need to kind of keep in mind what can we do in order for us to be actually active in protecting our systems, in order for the government to trust us that we can do the work and that the information is going to be protected. And start preparing for those certifications, build your in-house before you can invest in it. And I guess this is my last one. Thank you so much. Feel free to visit my website, proxy.com. And if you have any questions, also feel free to email me at bettybrujong@proxy. And or find me on LinkedIn. I'm always posting about the events and the things that I'm doing or whatever that is happening around, and always supporting, of course, the Black Hand with their projects.
Thank you, Betty. We appreciate you taking the time to sit with us today and go through all of this. I do have a question because you had mentioned, as people are building up their past performance,
Mhm.
what's your feeling on going after no bid contracts? We all know that a lot of municipalities, counties, state, there is a no bid threshold. A lot of states, a lot of these agencies have. What's your feeling about that, and how would people maybe go about approaching those no bid opportunities to build their past performance?
So those contracts are very good. We need to kind of come up with the idea, right? What is it that you want to sell? And once you have the idea, if you cannot do it on your own, you can actually look for partners. I think that something that I have learned in the last probably 4 or 5 years is that partnerships are the key to success. Even when things are coming out like regular requirements, don't be afraid to say, oh no, but I don't do A, B, and C. You're like, you need to start thinking strategically. Who do I know that can do this part? Because large businesses are doing it, so small business we need to do it too. I have a list of small businesses that I can rely on. That if I see something, I send it right away. Hey, I saw this. Can you support this? Oh well, I don't have enough past performance, but you do. Can you be the prime? So don't be afraid to tell your friends and partners. Can you be the prime because you're stronger in this area, but you're still building your past performance by being their subcontractor.
Yeah. So, again, it's collaborative economy is essential. I mean,
Yes.
the competitive economy is always going to exist.
Mm-hmm.
But to be competitive in a competitive economy, you've got to fill your own gaps. And we had talked a lot today about AI. One of the things we actually did with AI is we learned how to prompt it to evaluate our gaps. So we fed it everything about our history, everybody's resume, everybody's subcontractor partners' resumes, websites, and everything, and said, "What's wrong with us? Where are our gaps? Where are we weak?" And it gave us this really great, level set of what we do good, what we could
Mm-hmm.
do better, and it's worth taking the time to poke holes in your own brand to improve your brand and find out what you need to win more deals, win more contracts, and get to that prime contractor set. But I really do appreciate you
Yes.
coming, as always, Betty. You are a huge supporter of us, and we're a huge supporter of you. You're part of our ecosystem. So as soon as I got to do an ad campaign for the DoD, I'll be calling you.
Absolutely. I'm always available to help.
I know. And I appreciate you very much. And we will make sure the presentations are available to everybody. Thank you so much, Betty, once again. And Stan, I'm going to ask you to jump back on to close out the show with me. Have a great day, Betty.
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye.
Hey, hey, Eric. All right, we made it. We made it through the day.
Made it through the day. It was a lot to take in. I definitely felt my IQ getting bigger, but at the same time, almost felt like, damn, my IQs, I'm losing points here too, because everybody was
Well,
so incredible.
it was, and quite honestly, I think we had such and a credit to you for putting together the program in a sense that we had a great mix of different presenters from different angles. So there was something for everybody here, and I think that's important, right? Not everyone is looking at the same thing. Although cyber was a big topic, AI was certainly big. And businesses, right? Everything, when we think about the morning, starting off with Lindsay Kilpatrick from the USSBA, she set us off saying, look, we know small businesses need help. They are there to help small businesses, but we're, um, you know, everybody that was on this bill today, I think contributed to small businesses. So it was wonderful. The keynote from Kenneth Watson was terrific. I think he started the path on AI, and he touched a lot about policy and I think and strategy, and that we got at a high level. By the way, we have to get his book. We have to get that
Yeah, I'll
into
get
the
the link.
notes. I want to
I'll
make sure
get the link.
we get
Yeah.
that book. Krista, she did fantastic from NJ Kick as she always does, and really made it realistic for us in the sense that she also told us about what she's seeing and some of the trends, and there's differences for sure. Uh, Jen Bayuk, if you learned one thing, you know what zero trust is, right? Nothing is trusted. All those times you need to do multi-factor authentication for each application, that is zero trust. Nothing, right? The expectation there is anything on your network, consider it breached. That's why you have to go with this zero trust model.
I got to tell you, Stan, I mean, prior, I really never thought about what zero trust was. I mean, to me, zero trust was just watch out when you're walking down the street around the corner, right? And after hearing that today, I'm like, wow, I really have to learn to love my multi-factor
Yeah,
authorizations.
and honestly, right. Consider it always, the potential for breach instantly, and that's why we have to go through that sometimes inconvenience. InfraGard, for those who weren't aware, they know who InfraGard is now. That's a resource. We had, of course, the video surveillance. I think that got the most questions, and I credit Hugo Almeida and Franklin DeJoya. They are, new to this community, and I think that's important that we keep our eyesights also on the physical security aspects. Deborah, I didn't know some of her tools. Deborah Mohammed Spigner, Dr. Spigner, some of her tools are free, so we have to make sure those links are available. Ken did a good job, Fishkin from ISC2. I thought that was also valuable in the sense that anyone who's got an AI policy, whether you're small or big, or if you don't have one, you know how to get one started. And if you do have one, you may want to update it as well constantly. And I think that was the theme. Brian, if you didn't know about quantum computing, well, now you know what quantum computing is. And I think that's valuable. And Betty, as always, Betty Gurion, she is terrific and she's an expert. And she too is an advocate in our world, right? In the education side, she's been helpful with our students and being a mentor in some cases, and also helping us with needing letters of support. Sometimes all of us sometimes need letters of support for work we're trying to do. So it was a great program. I think we covered a lot in a short amount of time. And I bet lots of people jumped on and off, but now they'll be able to, hopefully watch the broadcast. So, thank you.
Yeah, we'll be setting up the video to truncate down for some of the glitches and the problems, and making sure those videos are all available specifically on the topics, making sure all the presentations are delivered to everybody who came on today, who everybody is going to be able to watch them later. We're definitely going to look to chop up some of these videos and get them out on social media to garner that interest into the cybersecurity world. Because I mean, the reality is, look, I walk around here acting like I know what I'm talking about because I have to sell it because that's my job. But every time I talk to you guys in that world, I learn something new all the time. And then I act like I knew it all the time.
Listen, this is about awareness too. You don't have to be an expert in all of it, but being aware of what's where we're at, where we're going, is important as well. So this was good.
Yeah, and I want to thank you and Kane University. You guys have been awesome to us over the years, and we're excited to keep building that relationship with you guys. I want to thank TD Bank for sponsoring, Ultimate Wireless for sponsoring. Yes, this wasn't a live event where we could have been face-to-face. We had issues. We dealt with the issues. We pivoted. We put it here. Hopefully this actually becomes a more valuable asset for people that are interested. But we definitely look forward to face-to-face once we secure our location for Procurement Con. We're definitely going to put up some cybersecurity programming for procurement, the government contracting space at Procurement Con, and make sure that we can get some FaceTime and have everybody come on board. And then definitely, Stan, we're going to have to schedule a jam session and get everybody around and just really draw it up about all of this stuff in a less educational environment, more just talk environment, just to really draw it up and let it all hang out. But again, I want to thank you. And, you know where to find us. It's at procurementcon.com. You can head on over to there, to that website, sign up for the notifications. We will, in fact, make sure that everybody in our entire national network has access to these presentations, links, and everybody's contact information. So again, thank you everybody for being part of this today. Thank you to all our guests. And Stan, I'm going to let you go so you can enjoy the rest of your day before it gets dark.
That's okay. Thank you very much, Eric. Take care. See you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. And for those of you, if you're looking to do anything to help expand your business footprint, reach an audience, a wider audience, one of the things you can do is you can become part of our network by sponsoring one of our events. And we talked about it today. Many times I brought it up. We have a new sponsor portal here at blackinkcreativepartners.com. We'll be updating our reach so you guys know what our annual reach and monthly reach looks like to the national community and to specific audience niches. And we offer the B2B events, as you can see, we had 2026 here. We're working on Procurement Con 2026. Show Me the Money in 2027. If you're more after the consumer market, we have great consumer events we're producing. And the thing is we want to make sponsorships accessible to everybody. So if you want to be a sponsor, but you can't afford the corporate prices, and again, even our corporate prices are very moderate for some of our events. Getting a platinum sponsorship with all the corporate perks is roughly this year $1,950. However, if you are a certified small business and you have your certification, we don't want to leave you out to the corporate, right? We don't want to put you out in the cold. We want to make sure that small businesses get access. So if you have a certification, veteran disabled, veteran owned, minority owned, woman owned, if you have one of the disadvantaged businesses from one of the transit, like New York, New Jersey Port Authority, come on in here, show us your certificate, and you're going to get 50% off with all the benefits of being a corporate sponsor. So instead of having to sit there and decide if you want to do a bronze sponsorship, we're giving you as much flexibility as possible to make sure you're able to get that same benefit that corporations like TD Bank get at a rate. Now, if you're not certified, and I know we heard about certifications today, but if you're not a minority owned or woman owned, don't worry. Go ahead and still do this anyway. We have a not-for-profit that will be able to handle your entire certification process for you, so you don't have to stop working. You could keep moving along in your small business and chugging along while you know you have professionals who have experience, more than 30 years experience in working with small businesses and getting those certifications. And as long as we get that application started, we'll make sure you get the benefit, even if you don't have your certificate. So check us out at blackinkcreativepartners.com and be part of our events in a way that reaches an audience. If you want to be a speaker, please email us. Sign up here. Note that you want to be a speaker. If you want to be an attendee, that's important too. Become an attendee at our events and grow your brand through education and access to resources. So once again, everybody, I want to thank you for being part of this today. We don't have events if we don't have people who want to be at events. So thank you, everybody, for being part of this. Thank you for being at our live events, and we will see you soon. Take care.